This week we're talking about how to hire a moving sales rep. So two parts of this business, super simple. There's the service side, the operations, and then there's book and moves, there's sales. Obviously there's more parts to the business. I mean, there's the financial component, there is, customer service, claims, etc. But when it comes down to like how you grow this business, it's booking moves, selling moves, and then going and servicing those moves. So, hiring movers, hiring drivers, dispatchers, ops managers, all that stuff is really kind of heavy on the ops side. It's heavy on the management and service side. But the sales side is sometimes, I think, an enigma for some people. It's like I know a lot of companies that they'll have like their spouse, either one, the owner is selling, which is very common because it's a high skill level job. So a lot of times, like if you're a newer business, you as the owner will sell because you don't have to pay that money out. So like you're probably not writing yourself a commission check, so you're like saving all that money. So you yourself as the owner are the sales rep, or like if your spouse builds the business with you, then they're selling, or you have a family member that works in the business and they sell. But usually the business needs to kind of grow a little bit before you're going out and hiring someone. And that's totally normal. But what I want to talk about is just like, where do you find these people that could potentially be great, like thoroughbreds? Like I'm talking about stud salespeople that can make just tons of money tons of money for them, but also tons of money for you. Where do you find them? And then what are some things to remember about how you're going to attract them? Because there's two components to like landing one of these people at your company. One, I have to know where to find them to have that conversation. I also have to know, how do I attract that person? How do I make it to where that person wants to actually take me up on my offer? And I think that there's a couple schools of thought when it comes to sales in the moving industry. My school of thought is like your salespeople should make a ton of money. I'm such a believer in incentivizing those people tremendously. I'm not saying to sell the farm necessarily, but like have a really good comp plan, have a really good income structure for these individuals. So let's start with just where to find them. One thing to note is you should be recruiting all the time. Like one of the 101s to recruiting is recruit all the time. You should have a pipeline. Just like you have a pipeline for bringing customers into your business, you have a pipeline for bringing in new talent to your business. And so one of the things that you want to do is you want to have something, whether it's just a note on your phone, or maybe it's a spreadsheet on a Google Sheet or an Excel, or maybe you even have something that's more built out, like a hiring CRM or ATS. They call it a talent acquisition software. So something that you can store people's data and you can like make notes and keep track of people. Because something I've picked up is that just because you found someone that might be great, it might not be the right time for them in that opportunity. So you may not actually acquire that person on your team to be a sales rep until a year from now or 3 years from now. But I don't want to just lose that relationship and lose the information. So what's harder about, I think, sales rep recruiting and hiring is that you have to be really driven in like the long term. You have to be really driven in long-term relationships because a lot of it's trust. If you're going to hire somebody and they're going to be on a very high commission-based comp plan, they're really checking you out as a business and making sure like, hey, are you growing the business? Are there enough leads? Is there enough quality leads? Do you have a good sales process? Do you have a good service side? Like, do you have a good team that's going to service these jobs I book? So all these things come into factor. And just so everybody knows, if you don't know my background, I used to be a sales manager for a large franchise moving and junk removal company here in the US. I did that for 3 years before I started MoveUp. So I have sold tons of moving and I have managed sales reps. So that's what I did prior to MoveUp. And so a lot of this to me is just, I've lived it. And also I've hired and recruited a lot of salespeople. So where do you find these people? Recruit all year round, and the best place is just your normal interactions. So if I go to a restaurant, a couple ways I'm going to find somebody in a restaurant. One, go to eat on a Friday night when there is a little bit of a wait. And if you're standing there in line, like just turn your shoulder. There's usually sharp couples that are like waiting in line, waiting to get a table. Strike up a conversation, make a compliment to somebody. Just start talking about the wait time and you'll break the ice. Sharp couples usually go out to dinner on Fridays and Saturday nights, just like you are. That's a great place to interact with somebody. You find out what they do, because when you meet someone new, what's one of the first questions that comes up? What do you do, right? And so it just naturally comes up in conversation. I just meet new people everywhere I go. So you can meet somebody right there waiting in line to get a table. You could then get sat at your table, and if you have a tremendous service from your waiter or waitress, make sure you have business cards on you. And what I used to do, I still do, if I meet somebody that is just tremendous, pull my phone or pull a card out and say, hey, I'm always hiring. I run a company. I do this. I'm always hiring for really great talent. Do you keep your options open to new opportunities? If they say, yeah, like, hey, could you put down like an email or your cell phone? I won't message it while you're working here, but would love to connect on another day. And walk away with a phone number. I think that's one of the big things that in the beginning I used to not do well, is I would have these great connections with people in my community, but then I wouldn't get their contact info. How do I follow back up with them if I don't have their contact info? So that's a business networking 101. Always walk away with a contact. But other places you can find great salespeople, personally, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram maybe. I'm more heavy on Facebook and LinkedIn, and that's because I think there's more people are on there. And I love LinkedIn because there's tons of people in the moving and storage industry that have like their professional profile built out on LinkedIn. That's a great place to find people. What I would and wouldn't do, I wouldn't add somebody, like let's say it's Facebook, I wouldn't add them as a friend and then just right away, be messaging them, because it's going to seem like you're kind of picking people off, right? Same thing with LinkedIn. I would connect with them or add them as a friend and then just put up lots of content. Put up lots of stuff on social that shows, one, what you do, and two, that you're really good at it. And so if you're showing people like that, you have a moving business and you're growing the business and it's something is happening there. Salespeople are attracted to places that are growing because that's where they can go make more money. One of the things that I think also they're looking for, in my opinion, are engaged owners. If I'm a sales rep, I don't really necessarily want to work for an owner that's not in the creative stage, that's not out like building the business and finding new ways to expand the profits of the business and grow. I want to work for somebody that's in that growth mindset. So make sure as an owner, you are in that mindset. Make sure you're in a growth mentality. Some other stuff, I talked about this, but have a stupid good comp plan. Like, don't pay people 3% on the move. Like 3%, and there's people that pay 3% commissions, but it's like, I don't know, you're not going to help that person make that much money. And now you could do a hybrid plan where, maybe you have a base salary and then they get a commission percentage, but there's so many ways to write it out. I won't go into all that, but just make sure it's lucrative. Make sure that it's a really good comp plan, because good salespeople, they shouldn't cost you money, right? They shouldn't cost you money. They should make you money. I have no problem paying good salespeople. They're driving more revenue to the business. So take care of salespeople. Make sure they have a good comp plan. And then the other thing that you can offer that I think is massively important is a mentorship component. So, your salespeople they're going to be people that have great interpersonal skills, or at least they should, right? They're people that are great on the phone. They're good at talking to people. That is the most basic business skill set, is being good at communicating. Like, if you're not a good communicator with people, you ain't in business, in my opinion. And so being a sales rep is the very beginning of learning great business skills. And so take that person under your wing, mentor that person, coach that person, share what books you read, share what podcasts you listen to, introduce them to your network, Teach them about how you run your finances. Teach them how to be successful. Teach them how to think. Teach them how to be able to prosper. And I believe that if you pour into them, that's how you keep really good sales reps. It's also how you attract new ones. When you're looking for people, moving sales reps, what I would do, because I think a lot of companies are learning that you can hire somebody remotely to sell. I'm a huge proponent of that, by the way. Huge proponent. Now, there are, you're going to have some people that do on-site estimates. So, it may not be completely your whole sales staff is remote, but some of it can be. And so if I'm on Facebook or if I'm on LinkedIn, I'm adding every stinking person that does sales for a moving company, because I want to build my network. You hear the saying, your net worth equals your network. Your network is so powerful. And so, like, one of the ways I've built MoveUp and not spend a ton of marketing money is just connecting and building a larger network on social platforms, so that way people see what I put out. And you can do that the same way. So I would make friends and I would make connections with people in the industry that already do what you're looking for, that are sales reps, that are ops managers, even if you're looking for that. But the other way of finding a good moving sales rep is, obviously you can look, you can throw an ad up, ZipRecruiter or LinkedIn or Indeed, and you can get applicants and stuff that way. It's just a lot of work, right? You gotta work through a lot of applicants. That takes time, and it just depends if you're committed to doing all those phone calls. You're not gonna make a 5-10 minute phone call and know if this is gonna be a good person, right away. Some people, yes, because you can tell they don't sound good on the phone, but you need to have a conversation. You need to get to know them. You need to figure out what their financial goals are, how you could help them reach those goals. And some of that takes time. Trust takes time. I think that's what we forget is, like, salespeople, they're not just a tool, it's a human being. Those are real people that have families, they have lives, right? It's going to take time for you to build the relationship. I would just be recruiting all the time. So even if you don't need a sales rep right now, you should be recruiting for one. You should have job ads up for salespeople. You should be talking to people about a job as a sales rep, even if you don't need it right now. Because what if you need it in 3 months? Well, if you start recruiting when you need something, you're already behind. You need to start recruiting ahead of time before you need it, so that way you have a pipeline of leads that now you can reference, and so once you need it, you can hire for it. That's how you keep the growth of your business moving at a fast rate. If I'm 6 months behind, if I'm 3 months behind on hiring compared to like the sales of the business, here's what's going to happen. You're going to go through a rough patch organizationally, because the sales are going, are here, but your staffing is here. Basically, the funnel gets clogged up and there's too much work and not enough people. Your phone's ringing off the hook and you're like, literally don't have enough people to sell moves. Like maybe you have 2 sales reps and they're on the phone and driving around town all day, and there's still people calling that, quite frankly, are getting missed. And if that's happening, that's not a problem of right now, it's a problem of like 2-3 months ago, because you should have a pipeline of people. I'll give you a tip. Something I've done before with hiring salespeople is, if they have a current job selling, your best candidates are people that already have jobs, not unemployed people. So they already have a gig, and let's say it's a pretty good job, right? Good opportunity. It's going to be a lot harder for them to walk away from that, just to jump, cold turkey and do a full-time gig with you. So what is sometimes easier is say, hey, would you be open to a part-time start to transition to full-time? And you interview the person 2-3 times, you have multiple conversations, and then maybe you start them off with just something part-time where they're selling for you on Saturdays and a couple evenings in the week on top of their current job. And it's almost like a tryout period, but it's really a proving ground. One, for you to see, can they actually sell? So many people say they know how to be good, that they're a good salesperson, but there's so many mediocre people. What it allows you to do is to see how they do and how they fit into your team. It also allows them an opportunity to feel you out, but not quit their current gig. So what's required to do something like that, though, is you have to have a great system. You have to have a good sales process and a good sales system, because if you have to teach them and show them every little thing, that's not good. So you want to make sure like you have some training videos, you have some training content, you have good scripts, that you have good material. Every company should have an objections and rebuttals sheet that of scripts that people can use. Learn the objections, learn the rebuttals. What are frequently asked questions? What are the answers to those questions? How do you loop this around? So that way we handle the objection, now we come full circle back, and now I can ask for the sale again. You need to have a system in place that I can say, okay, hey, here, go learn this, and then you help them through it, and you can get somebody selling pretty quickly. Salespeople, they think in numbers, they think money. So if they go too long and they're not making money, then they're gonna have some doubts. I think finding good moving sales reps is, again, it's just, you have to do it year round. Even though it's a position that's not like a mover position where you're going to hire it super often, you should be recruiting salespeople every day, 365 of the year. Just have a database, have something that you're putting people's names and numbers in. If you get a resume, save it, put it somewhere, have a folder. It doesn't matter how you do it. And start building those relationships, because it's a higher level position. There's usually a bigger decision-making process that happens, and these are professionals. And so, where to find these people, in my opinion, is really anywhere and everywhere. Use your network. Use referrals. If you know other business owners in the area, call them up. Say, hey, I'm looking for some good salespeople. Who do you know that could be turned into a really good salesperson, or who already has a track record of being a great salesperson? You can find some diamonds in the rough by, taking a chance on that waitress or that waiter, or, the person that serviced you or whatever at whatever business. They have a current job that is maybe an entry-level day-to-day job, and you see they've got some characteristics and skills that you can develop, giving them an opportunity to come join you, and they just totally explode. They totally grow. Those are the best. You also get really attached to those ones, because it's fun to see the people grow. You mentor them, you coach them. So recruit year-round for this. Make it a priority. You also never know when a current sales rep might leave. If I don't have that pipeline built out, then the moment that my current salesperson or one of them leaves, if I don't have a pipeline, then, it might be weeks and months before I hire someone new. And what I also might have to do is I might have to settle. I might have to hire somebody that maybe isn't great. They're just good enough. And I don't want to do that either, right? I want to hire people that are great. I don't want to hire good enough. Good enough doesn't grow the company. There's no magic trick to this. Build relationships everywhere you go. Always be growing your network. Keep a full pipeline 24/7. Again, reward the salespeople in your company. They're booking moves. They're keeping this thing churning. I want my salespeople to be like sharks. I want them to literally get after it, blood in the water, go chase it down, book that move. It's going to foster a lot of excitement in the company too. Once you start getting 2, 3, 4, 5 salespeople in an office, and whether they're in the office or they work virtually, it's exciting. And there's no shortage of salespeople, the same way there's no shortage of people to be movers and drivers in this country. It's just a matter of, are we doing the work to find them? Are we making the time to build the relationships, to have the conversations, to communicate with these people? Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. So that's all I've got today. If you have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, feelings, go ahead, put a comment below on this video. Give us a thumbs up, give us a like if this was helpful. If you thought it was bad, give us a thumbs down. Give us a comment with a thumbs down. I don't care. I doubt you'll do that, because this is all valuable information. At the end of the day, we put this stuff out because we want you to succeed. We want you to grow. All this is free. We don't have to do these. I don't have to take my time to do these, but I want to impart some information that will help you get to where you're trying to go faster. And we know that, this is a value exchange marketplace. If we provide you a ton of value over the next month, 6 months, year, 5 years, eventually the value is going to swing back our way. So that's our mission, is just give you a ton of value. we'll see you next week. Every Wednesday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, we go live. I'm excited about next week's video, and have a great week.